My son forgot to end the call, so I heard their conversation. "That old man won't last a day after our Thanksgiving surprise," he said. His wife added, "The house will be ours." I quietly pressed end call and dialed a number. 5 days later, I arrived at their house for a holiday dinner, but I wasn't alone. Their faces turned pale. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The grocery bags cut into my palms as I climbed the front steps. $340 worth of Thanksgiving supplies. Turkey, cranberries, sweet potatoes, the works. My knees complained with each step, that familiar ache that never really went away anymore. 64 years old, and some days I felt every single one of them. I shifted the bags to fish out my keys, used my shoulder to push open the front door. The house was quiet. Michael and Jennifer had left earlier that morning, something about a job interview. I'd stopped asking for details months ago. Their answers were always vague, always promising, never leading anywhere. The kitchen counter welcomed me like an old friend. I set the bags down with a grunt of relief, already mentally organizing the next few days. Thanksgiving was my favorite holiday. Family around the table, everyone together, grateful for what we had. I'd invited Michael and Jennifer to live here a year ago after Michael lost his job. Just temporary, they'd said, just until we get back on our feet. That's when I noticed the tablet. It sat on the counter, screen glowing that soft blue. I frowned. I didn't remember leaving it on. My hand moved toward it, then froze mid-reach. "The old man won't last a day after our Thanksgiving surprise." Michael's voice, clear as crystal, coming from the tablet's speaker. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then Jennifer's voice, bright with excitement. "The house will be ours, finally. We can sell it and get something in West Hills. Finally live somewhere decent." My hand gripped the edge of the counter. The world tilted sideways. "He's been going on about family tradition and making a big dinner," Michael continued, and I could hear the smirk in his voice. "Perfect timing. He'll never suspect anything." Their laughter filled my kitchen in my house, the one I'd worked 35 years as a school principal to pay off. I stood there at the threshold, grocery bags forgotten, listening to my son and his wife plan something that would ensure I wouldn't last a day. The video call was still active. They'd forgotten to hang up. I could see their faces on the screen now, animated and excited, discussing my house like it was already theirs. My hand moved without conscious thought. One finger, careful and quiet, tapped the red end call button. The screen went dark. Silence crashed over the kitchen like a wave. I pulled out a chair and sat down heavily, not trusting my legs anymore. One of the grocery bags tipped over. Apples rolled across the floor with hollow thuds that echoed in the emptiness. I watched them roll, red and perfect, scattering like my illusions. I'd bought food for them. I was planning to make them a feast. And they were planning... what exactly? My death? The words played on repeat in my mind. Won't last a day. Thanksgiving surprise. The house will be ours. I thought about the past year. Every bill I'd paid. Every excuse I'd believed. Michael's job search that never ended. Jennifer's career development courses that led nowhere. The money I'd given them. Thousands and thousands of dollars. For interview clothes, networking events, professional development. How long had they been planning this? My hands were shaking. I pressed them flat against the table, willing them to be still. 35 years I'd dealt with difficult situations, angry parents, budget crises, staff conflicts. I'd never backed down, never lost control. I raised you, I thought. I gave you everything. But I didn't say it out loud. There was no point. They weren't here to hear it, and even if they were, what would it change? I sat in that kitchen as the afternoon light shifted across the floor, as the apples lay scattered and forgotten, as the groceries warmed on the counter. I sat there and felt something inside me break, then harden into something new. After a long time, I whispered to the empty room, "I raised you. I gave you everything." My voice broke slightly on the last word. Then it hardened, matching what was happening inside my chest. Not anymore. The decision settled over me like a familiar coat. I wasn't a victim. I was a problem solver. That's what I'd always been. And this was just another problem to solve. The hours between discovery and their return passed in a strange fog. I moved through the house like a ghost, putting away groceries with mechanical precision, can of cranberries in the pantry, turkey in the refrigerator, potatoes in the bin. My hands knew what to do, even as my mind replayed those words on an endless loop. Won't last a day. The house will be ours. I picked up the scattered apples, washed them, set them in the fruit bowl, wiped down the counter. All the small tasks that made up a life, performed while that life fell apart around me. By early evening, I'd prepared dinner, pot roast with carrots and potatoes, comfort food I'd been making for 40 years. I set the table. 3 plates, 3 sets of silverware, 3 glasses, everything in its proper place. Everything except me. I wasn't the same man who'd left for the grocery store that morning. They came through the front door just after 6, and I heard them before I saw them. Jennifer's laugh, high and careless, the rustle of shopping bags, Michael's voice calling out, "Dad, we're home. Sorry we're late. The interview ran long." The lie flowed so easily. How many lies had I swallowed over the past year? I stood at the stove, my back to them, and took a careful breath before turning around. My face arranged itself into something that might pass for normal. Pleasant, unsuspecting. "How did it go?" I asked. Jennifer was already moving toward me, arms outstretched for a hug. She smelled like expensive perfume, the kind that cost more than she claimed to have. Up close, I noticed her manicure, fresh and perfect. Salon work, not home polish. "Dad!" She squeezed my shoulders. "How was your day? Did you rest those knees?" The concern in her voice was so practiced, so perfect. I wondered how long she'd been acting. "Fine," I said. "Dinner's ready." We sat down together, the 3 of us, like we had hundreds of times before. But I saw everything differently now. The expensive coffee cups they'd left on the counter, $7 lattes while claiming poverty, Michael's fresh haircut, barbershop quality, Jennifer's new bracelet, thin gold catching the light. Michael launched into his story about the interview. He used industry jargon, made it sound legitimate. Marketing position, competitive salary, just waiting on the background check. He'd always been a good talker, even as a kid. "There's just one thing," he said, glancing at Jennifer with practiced timing. They'd rehearsed this. "A training program," Jennifer jumped in. "It's exactly what Michael needs to guarantee placement. The company actually recommended it?" "How much?" I asked, moving food around my plate. $2,000. Michael's voice was earnest, sincere. "I know it's a lot, Dad. We hate asking. But this is finally our way out. We'll pay you back as soon as I start." I looked at him across the table. My son. I remembered teaching him to ride a bike, helping with homework, attending his high school graduation. Where had that boy gone? Or had he always been this person, and I'd been too blind to see? "I'll think about it," I said quietly. The words landed wrong. I watched them exchange a glance, quick and confused. Usually I agreed right away, pulled out my checkbook, happy to help. "Of course," Michael said carefully. "No pressure. Take your time." "I need to check my account," I added, keeping my voice neutral. Jennifer's smile tightened just slightly at the corners. "Absolutely. We understand." The rest of dinner passed in near silence. I gave minimal responses. I see. That's interesting." They tried to fill the quiet with chatter about their day, but I could feel them watching me, uncertain. I'd changed the pattern, and they'd noticed. After they went to bed, early, as always, because they slept late and woke later, I sat alone in my study. The house creaked around me, settling into night. I waited until I heard their bedroom door close, then waited another hour to be sure. At 11:30, I opened my laptop. The screen's glow illuminated my face as I typed with slow, deliberate precision. Family law attorney, Portland. Property rights, Oregon. Elder abuse lawyer. Each search opened new windows, new possibilities. I read reviews, checked credentials, took notes in my old leather notebook. Left column, questions to ask. Right column, documents I'd need. Bottom of the page, timeline considerations. This was familiar territory. How many difficult parent meetings had I prepared for this way? How many budget crises had I solved by organizing information into neat, manageable columns? 35 years I'd solved problems. Angry parents demanding special treatment for their children. Budget cuts that threatened programs. Staff conflicts that could have destroyed morale. I didn't survive all that by being weak or foolish. This was just another problem to solve. My posture remained straight, despite exhaustion, the principal bearing I'd never quite lost. Two-finger typing, slow but steady. Pause to think. Resume with renewed focus. Around midnight, I found what I was looking for. A law firm specializing in elder law and family disputes. 5-star reviews, free consultation. Located downtown, easy to reach. I wrote down the phone number in my notebook, underlined it twice. Tomorrow, I would call. Tomorrow, I would start taking back what was mine. But tonight, I sat in the darkness of my study, listening to the house settle around me, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Purpose. I slept badly that night, 3 hours, maybe 4. But when I woke Thursday morning, something had changed. The shock had crystallized into clarity. I showered, shaved carefully, chose my navy blazer, the one I'd worn to countless parent-teacher conferences. Old habits surfaced as I knotted my tie. You dressed for the meeting you needed to win. Michael and Jennifer's bedroom door remained closed as I left. They wouldn't surface until noon, as always. I wrote a note for the kitchen counter. Out for appointment. Back this afternoon. Generic, revealing nothing. The drive across Portland gave me time to think. My hands stayed steady on the wheel despite the churning in my stomach. Morrison and Partners occupied the 3rd floor of a downtown building. I arrived at 9:45 for my 10 o'clock appointment, parked in the garage, and sat for 5 minutes, breathing. You can do this, I told myself. You've walked into harder meetings than this. The reception area had leather chairs, law journals on glass tables, classical music playing softly. Other people came and went. Divorces, estate planning, business disputes. Everyone had problems. I wasn't special, except I refused to be a victim. Mr. Ford? The receptionist smiled. Ms. Lindstrom is ready for you. Barbara Lindstrom met me at her office door. Early 60s, silver hair styled professionally, gray eyes that assessed me quickly but not unkindly. She wore a charcoal suit and extended her hand with the confidence of someone who'd won difficult battles. DeWitt? May I call you DeWitt? Please come in. Her office surprised me. Yes, there were the expected law books lining shelves, the mahogany desk, the computer displaying case files, but also watercolor paintings on the walls, family photos on the credenza, a young woman with children laughing, an older photo of Barbara with a gray-haired man, both smiling, taken in better times. She gestured to comfortable chairs by the window, not the formal desk setup. Coffee? She offered. Thank you. Black. She poured from a carafe on the side table, handed me the cup, settled into the chair across from me, not above me, beside me. Tell me what brought you here, she said gently. Take your time. I've cleared the whole morning. I started formally, controlled. My son and his wife have been living with me for a year, rent-free. I've been supporting them financially while they supposedly search for work. The words came easier than I expected. I described the grocery shopping, the forgotten tablet, the glowing screen. When I reached the part about hearing Michael's voice, the old man won't last a day after our Thanksgiving surprise, my voice cracked slightly. Barbara's pen stopped mid-note. She looked up sharply. They said that exactly? Won't last a day? I nodded. Her expression hardened, though her voice remained gentle. DeWitt, that's not just greed. That's potential conspiracy to harm. We need to consider protective measures, not just property law. Something loosened in my chest. She believed me. She understood. I told her everything. The year of excuses and lies, the thousands of dollars I'd given them, Jennifer's request for more money just yesterday, how they looked at me now, or rather, how they looked through me, seeing only an obstacle between themselves and my property. When I finished, Barbara set down her pen. DeWitt, I'll help you, she said simply. Not, I'm sorry, or how terrible. Just a commitment. Not just with the legal aspects, with all of it. I've seen cases like this before. Adult children who view their parents as obstacles rather than people. It's abuse, and it's wrong. Relief hit me so hard I had to look away for a moment. Let's talk strategy, she continued, pulling up documents on her computer screen. You own the house outright, no co-signers, no joint ownership. Completely mine. I inherited it from my parents. Paid off the last mortgage payment 8 years ago. Good, that's our foundation. She turned the screen so I could see the Oregon statutes. Property law in this state strongly protects owners, especially seniors. We can pursue eviction, but we need to be strategic about the approach. She outlined the process: written notice demanding rent or vacating premises, 10-day response period, then court filings if they refuse to leave. But there was a complication. If they claim family residence by invitation, without established terms, it could drag out. Do you have anything in writing about their living arrangement? I remembered then. Last year, when Michael first moved in, I'd written a simple letter. Something for his records, I'd thought. Documentation that he had permission to stay temporarily. I wrote something, I said slowly. Let me check. I pulled out my phone, accessed my cloud storage. Years as a principal had taught me to keep everything organized, digitized. There it was. A scanned letter dated November 15th last year. Barbara's eyes lit up as she read it on my phone screen. May I photograph this? Of course. She captured the image, immediately forwarding it to her case file. This is excellent. See this word, temporary? That's our leverage. You established terms from the beginning. They were guests, not tenants with rights. We spent the next hour planning. She explained timelines, potential complications, what documentation I'd need. I pulled out the folder I'd brought. Bank statements showing all the money I'd given them, utility bills in my name, the deed to the house. You keep good records, Barbara noted approvingly. 35 years in school administration teaches you that. Near the end of our meeting, she poured us both more coffee. As she handed me my cup, our fingers touched briefly. She paused, looked at me differently. May I ask, are you doing this alone? Is there anyone else supporting you? No, I said quietly. My wife passed 12 years ago. No other children. It's just me. Barbara was silent for a moment. When she spoke, her voice carried a weight I recognized. Personal experience, not just professional knowledge. My husband died 4 years ago. Cancer? She gestured to the photo on her credenza. I understand what it means to face something difficult and feel alone. Our eyes met. Something passed between us. Recognition, perhaps. Two people who'd survived loss and learned to keep going. Not anymore, she added firmly. You have me in your corner now. When I stood to leave, she walked me to the door personally. She handed me her business card, then took it back and wrote something on the back. My cell number, she said. Call any time. Weekends, evenings. This can't wait. We shook hands again, longer this time. I walked out of that office differently than I'd entered. Taller, stronger, not alone. Friday morning arrived with clarity. I woke before 7, dressed with purpose. Barbara had given me a list. Change your will, get a property appraisal, document everything. I started with the will. Robert Cheng's office sat in a strip mall between a tax preparation service and an insurance agency. Small, efficient, professional. Robert himself was mid-40s, precise, wearing reading glasses on a chain around his neck. Mr. Ford, let's review what we discussed on the phone. He walked me through each page of the document he'd prepared. His finger traced the lines as he explained. This clause ensures your son cannot contest based on being forgotten. By leaving him exactly $1, you prove deliberate intent, not oversight. He looked at me over his glasses. This paragraph establishes the Portland Education Foundation as sole beneficiary. They're a registered nonprofit. No complications. I held the pen above the signature line. This was irreversible. I was disinheriting my son. My hand didn't shake. I signed with firm, clear strokes. The same signature I'd used on diplomas and disciplinary letters for 35 years. Authority. Finality. Robert witnessed, pressed the notary seal into paper with a satisfying thunk. This is legally binding now, he said. I nodded. No going back. But I felt no regret, only grim satisfaction. I returned home around 2 that afternoon. The house was quiet, except for voices from the living room. I walked past the doorway toward the kitchen, but something made me pause in the hallway where they couldn't see me. Michael and Jennifer sat with their laptops open. Jennifer's screen showed Zillow listings, houses in West Hills, the expensive part of Portland. Price range, $650,000 to $800,000. Michael's screen displayed something worse, an investment calculator. I could read it clearly from my angle. If we get $485K from house sale minus 6% realtor fees, we clear $405K. They'd already calculated it, already planned how to spend my property. I took a photo with my phone on silent mode. Documentation. Jennifer looked up from her screen. DeWitt? You're back. How was your appointment? I kept my face neutral. Fine, just some banking matters. Oh, she exchanged a glance with Michael. Actually, we need to talk to you about something. Here it comes, I thought. The car made a terrible noise yesterday, Jennifer continued, her voice full of practiced concern. The mechanic says it's the transmission. $1,500 to fix. We need it for job interviews. What mechanic? I asked mildly. Did you get a written estimate? Michael jumped in quickly. They told us over the phone. We're going back Monday for the paperwork. I'll need to see that estimate first, I said. Let's wait for Monday. Jennifer's smile tightened. Of course. That's reasonable. But I saw the frustration in her eyes. Usually I just said yes, pulled out my checkbook. My hesitation confused them. Saturday morning brought the appraiser. Chris Whalen arrived at 9 sharp in a marked vehicle, carrying a clipboard, camera, and laser measure. Mr. Ford, I'm here for the property assessment. Michael appeared from the bedroom, hair disheveled, eyes still heavy with sleep. 9 in the morning was early for him. What's this about? His voice tried for casual, but landed on nervous. Insurance update, I replied calmly. The company requires current valuation every 5 years. Chris walked through every room. Michael and Jennifer trailed behind us, watching, whispering to each other. I showed Chris the updates I'd made. New roof 3 years ago. HVAC system replaced 5 years back. Updated electrical panel. You've maintained it well, Chris observed, making notes. It's my home, I said simply. My responsibility. The appraisal took 90 minutes. Professional, thorough. Chris measured, photographed, checked the attic, the basement, every system and structure. Michael and Jennifer couldn't hide their anxiety. They knew something was happening, but couldn't figure out what. That afternoon, a delivery truck arrived. Michael sprang to the door. I'll get it. Large box, expensive sneaker brand logo visible on the side. He carried it to his bedroom like a prize. 10 minutes later, I heard Jennifer exclaim with delight. I waited until they left for dinner, another expensive restaurant they claimed they couldn't afford. Then I checked the shared computer in the living room. They never logged out. Order confirmation. $220 for designer sneakers. Charged to a credit card. I took screenshots of everything. The order, their credit card statement showing $28,000 in existing debt. Their browsing history of luxury purchases. They had no income, no prospects, massive debt. But they were buying expensive shoes because they assumed my house would soon be theirs. I documented it all. Saturday evening, my phone rang. Barbara's name on the screen. Hi, she said. Just checking in on the documentation progress. How did it go with the notary? We discussed the will, the appraisal, the evidence I'd been gathering, but then her tone shifted, became less professional. Can I ask you something personal? She paused. In your message, you mentioned you were a principal. Did you enjoy it? The question surprised me. I settled back in my desk chair. I did, I said honestly. I wanted to make a difference. Sounds naive, but I believed education could change lives. I think I helped some kids along the way. That's not naive, Barbara replied. I understand that drive. It's why I chose elder law. People in vulnerable positions need advocates. We talked for an hour, about our careers, the cases she'd won, the students I remembered, not about the legal strategy or Michael and Jennifer, just ourselves. I didn't realize I'd been smiling until after we hung up. I sat in my study, looking at the folder on my desk. Will completed. Appraisal scheduled. Evidence documented. Every piece falling into place. But I kept thinking about Barbara's voice, the way she'd asked about my life, genuinely interested, how she'd shared about hers. I'd called her for legal help, but she was becoming something more. Someone who understood. Someone who didn't see me as a wallet or an obstacle. Just me. The thought warmed something inside my chest that had been cold for a long time. Sunday morning arrived with unexpected lightness. I'd slept better than I had since this nightmare began. Barbara's voice still echoed in my mind from Saturday night's call. The way she'd asked about my life, genuinely interested, not seeing a client. seeing me. I made coffee quietly. Michael and Jennifer's door remained closed. They'd sleep until afternoon, as always. Barbara had suggested we meet at Alameda Park. Fresh air and conversation, she'd said, casual. But nothing between us felt entirely casual anymore. I walked the 5 blocks, enjoying the November morning. Joggers passed, families with strollers, dogs pulling their owners along paths lined with bare trees. Normal life continuing around my crisis. She was waiting on a bench near the playground, dressed in jeans and a casual jacket, hair loose instead of the professional style from the office. She stood when she saw me, smiled. "Beautiful morning," she said. We fell into step naturally, walking the perimeter path. "My daughter called last night," Barbara said. "She lives in Seattle. 2 kids, busy life. She worries about me in that big house alone." "How long has it been?" I asked. "Since your husband passed?" 4 years. Cancer. We fought it for 18 months, but... She paused. I threw myself into work afterward. Easier than feeling. I understood completely. Mary died 12 years ago. Aneurysm. One moment we were talking about dinner plans, the next she was gone. I focused everything on Michael, being both parents, making sure he had what he needed. "And look where that got me," I added without bitterness. Just fact. We circled back to the bench. Sat. The playground was busy now. Children on swings, parents watching, normal families doing normal things. Barbara talked about David, her husband, the good years before the sickness, how they'd planned to travel after retirement, all the plans that evaporated. I found myself talking about Mary, things I hadn't spoken about in years, how she'd laughed at my terrible jokes, how she'd believed in me when I doubted myself. My hand moved without conscious thought, covering hers on the bench between us. She didn't pull away. Instead, she turned her palm up, fingers interlacing with mine. We sat like that for a long time, watching families play, not needing words. Finally, Barbara squeezed my hand gently. "Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding." Neither of us moved to separate our hands. When I returned home around 3 that afternoon, the house had that particular quiet of people sleeping late. I hung my jacket, headed toward the kitchen for water. Then I heard voices from the living room. Curious. Michael and Jennifer never woke this early on Sundays. I moved quietly down the hallway, staying against the wall where the old floorboards didn't creak. Heard a woman's voice I didn't recognize. "These West Hills properties are excellent investments. The market's strong right now." I edged closer, staying out of sight. From my angle, I could see the tablet propped on the coffee table. Michael and Jennifer on the couch. A professional-looking woman on the screen. Realtor, clearly. "Perfect," Michael said, and my blood went cold at the casual tone. "As soon as the old man kicks it after our Thanksgiving surprise, we'll list this dump immediately." Jennifer leaned forward, animated. "We're looking at the $650,000 range. Can we get pre-approved now? The house is worth $485,000. We saw the appraisal last week." The realtor's voice, Sandra something, remained professional. "I can send you preliminary paperwork. With your projected equity, you'd have significant buying power." "Exactly," Michael continued. "The difference between selling this place and the new mortgage gives us liquid capital. We're thinking $300,000 clear. Finally live the life we deserve." "Smart planning," Sandra replied. "Let me pull up some specific listings." My hand found my phone in my pocket. Silent mode, already set from days of documentation. I raised it carefully, framed the shot to capture the tablet screen showing house listings, Michael and Jennifer's faces, everything. Tap. Photo captured. 2 more angles. Then I switched to video, recorded 15 seconds of audio. The timing's perfect. Thanksgiving dinner, family gathering. Accidents happen with old people. Hearts fail. Nobody questions it. And we've been such devoted caregivers, living here to help him. So tragic. I backed away exactly the way I'd come. Along the wall, careful steps, controlled breathing. Once past the kitchen threshold, I walked normally to my study, closed the door with the usual sound, not silent, which might alert them. Sat at my desk, set the phone down, stared at the evidence on the screen. They weren't just planning to take my house, they were planning to kill me. On Thanksgiving. In 3 days. I looked at the photos again. Michael's face, relaxed and smiling. Jennifer's excitement. The realtor's professional presentation slides. They'd discussed methods, cover stories, post-murder real estate strategy. In my house, while I was in the next room. My hands should have been shaking, but they were steady as I opened my contacts. Found Barbara's number. She answered on the second ring. DeWitt, everything okay? No, I said quietly. I have proof. We need to meet first thing tomorrow morning. I barely slept that night. Kept reviewing the video, the photos, evidence of conspiracy. In my own home. Monday morning, I was waiting in my car outside Barbara's office at 8:45. At exactly 9, I headed up. She met me in the reception area, not her office, saw my face and knew immediately. Come on, she said, leading me back quickly. I connected my phone to her computer without preamble. The video played through her speakers. Michael's voice filled the office. The old man won't last a day after our Thanksgiving surprise. Barbara's jaw tightened. She watched it twice, taking notes the second time. When was this recorded? Yesterday afternoon, around 3. Do they know you heard? No, I was careful. She pulled up dual monitors, began searching Oregon law databases, property law, estate law, foundation regulations. This changes everything, she said. If they're planning actual harm, we can't wait for standard eviction procedures. We need to move now. What do we do? I can't stay in that house with them knowing this. Barbara turned to face me directly. We remove what they want. Permanently. She explained it carefully, showing me precedents on screen. Cases where lifetime estate transfers had protected vulnerable adults from predatory family members. You transfer full ownership to the Portland Education Foundation. Immediately. Before Thanksgiving. The foundation owns it, not you. But you retain irrevocable lifetime residency rights. You live there until your natural death, whenever that may be. When you eventually pass, the foundation sells the property and uses proceeds for scholarships. I studied the screen, understanding dawning. So legally, it's not mine anymore. Exactly. Michael can't inherit what you don't own. Their entire plan fails. They get nothing. Nothing, Barbara confirmed. Ever. The satisfaction that washed through me was cold and complete. We spent the morning drafting documents. Barbara typed rapidly, pulling up reference materials, asking clarifying questions. I sat beside her desk, not across from it. We were collaborating, partners. Around 11, she picked up her phone. Let me call Julia Thompson. She's the foundation director. Speakerphone. Professional voice. Julia Thompson, Portland Education Foundation. Julia, it's Barbara Lindstrom. I have a client who wants to make a significant property donation, residential property valued at $485,000. But there's unusual urgency, and he needs lifetime residency. Pause. What's the situation? Elderly client, problematic adult children exhibiting predatory behavior. He wants to ensure the property ultimately serves educational purposes. I understand. We've handled situations like this before. When were you thinking? Tomorrow, if possible. I'll make time. 10 in the morning. Perfect. Thank you, Julia. After she hung up, Barbara looked at me. There's something else we should do. Preventive documentation with police. We drove together to Northeast Precinct that afternoon. Met with Officer James Cole, mid-40s, professional demeanor. Barbara did most of the talking. Attorney present gave weight to the statement. I provided the timeline. Son and daughter-in-law living rent-free. Overheard conversations planning harm. Thanksgiving mentioned specifically. Showed the photos, played the video. Cole took notes, typed up a formal statement. 3 pages. I read it carefully through my reading glasses, aware of every word, signed at the bottom, initialed each page. This is now on record, Cole said, handing me a copy. If anything happens, we'll investigate thoroughly. And, Mr. Ford, maybe don't be alone with them for the next few days. I folded the document, placed it in my inside jacket pocket. Protection. We returned to Barbara's office, finished the remaining paperwork. By 5 o'clock, everything was prepared. Tomorrow, we'd execute the transfer. Wednesday would be final preparations. Thursday was Thanksgiving. Let me buy you dinner, Barbara said as we gathered our things. Not takeout while we work, actual dinner. Paley's place was quiet for a Monday evening. Dim lighting, corner table, white tablecloths. Barbara ordered wine. We both visibly relaxed. "Tell me about your favorite moments as principal," she said, "before all this." I found myself smiling, remembering graduation ceremonies, watching kids who'd struggled finally make it, former students who came back to visit years later tell me about their lives. "You made a difference," she said simply. "I tried." "Tell me about your proudest case," I asked. "Legal victory that meant something." She described protecting an elderly woman from a financial scam, reuniting grandparents with grandchildren after a bitter custody dispute, cases where law served justice, not just procedure. We talked, laughed, actually laughed. The weight of the past week lifted slightly. I reached across the table, covered her hand with mine. She turned her palm up immediately, fingers interlacing. We sat like that through most of dinner, eating one-handed, not caring how it looked. "After this is over," I said quietly, "assuming I survive Thanksgiving, what then? I'll be alone in that house." Barbara met my eyes. "Will you be? Alone?" "Are you asking what I think you're asking?" "I'm saying that when this is done, I'd like to see where this goes, whatever this is between us." I squeezed her hand. "I'd like that too." When the check came, I took it. Insisted. First time I'd taken someone to dinner in 12 years. We walked to the parking lot together around 8:30. Cool November evening, our cars parked near each other. We stood between the vehicles, neither wanting to separate. Barbara reached up, buttoned my jacket collar against the cold. Intimate gesture. "Get home safely," she said. "Tomorrow we finish this." I surprised myself, kissed her cheek quickly. She smiled. "See you tomorrow." I drove home thinking about her smile, about tomorrow, about justice. Michael and Jennifer's lights were still on when I pulled into the driveway. 2 days until Thanksgiving. 2 days until they planned to kill me. But they had no idea everything they wanted was already gone. Tuesday morning, I woke to the sound of voices in the kitchen. That stopped me cold. Michael and Jennifer never surfaced before noon. But there they were, coffee cups in hand, when I came downstairs at 8. "Morning, Dad." Michael's voice was too casual. "Where are you off to so early?" I paused at the bottom step, jacket over my arm. "Errands." Jennifer turned from the counter, studied me. "You've had a lot of errands lately. Anything we should know about?" Not a question, an accusation. I met her gaze steadily. "I'm capable of managing my day." I left through the front door, felt their eyes burning into my back the entire way. Something had shifted. They were watching me now. I met Barbara at her office. We had final details to confirm before tomorrow's foundation meeting, documents to review, timing to coordinate. But my mind kept returning to that morning scene. "They know something," I told her. The way they looked at me. Barbara's expression tightened. "We execute tomorrow. One more day. Can you manage?" I nodded, but the knot in my stomach said otherwise. I returned home around 6 that evening. The living room lights were on. Michael and Jennifer sat on the couch like they'd been waiting. A legal pad and pen sat on the coffee table. Props for a serious conversation. "Dad, glad you're home." Michael stood as I entered. "We need to discuss something important. Sit down?" False warmth that didn't reach his eyes. I remained standing, jacket still on. "What is it?" "Jennifer and I have been worried about you. You're getting older. 64 now. We think you might need help managing finances, medical decisions, that sort of thing." Jennifer pulled papers from beside her on the couch, printed forms I recognized immediately. Power of attorney documents, already filled out with their names. "We just need your signature, Dad." She pushed them across the coffee table toward me. "It's for your protection. What if something happened and we couldn't access your accounts to help you?" I didn't move to take the papers, didn't step closer to the table. "I don't need protecting," I said quietly. "Certainly not from you." Silence crashed through the room. Michael's face reddened. "Dad, we're family. We have your best interests." "Do you?" 2 words. Cutting question that stopped him mid-sentence. Jennifer stood now too. "We found an excellent attorney. We could go tomorrow morning, get everything signed before Thanksgiving dinner." "Thank you, but no." My voice stayed level, controlled. Principal voice. "I've already taken care of my legal affairs." "What?" Michael stepped forward. "When? With who?" "With an attorney. My choice. My business." Why wouldn't you include us? Jennifer's voice climbed higher. We live here. We're your family. That's exactly why I handled it privately. The implication hung in the air between us. Crystal clear. Michael's hands clenched into fists. Dad, what are you saying? That you don't trust us? I'm saying my affairs are settled. I don't need or want your help with them. This is ridiculous, Jennifer snapped. We're trying to help, and you're acting paranoid. Jennifer! Michael! I cut her off cleanly. This conversation is over. I'm going to bed. I suggest you do the same. I turned toward the stairs. We're not finished talking about this, Michael called after me. I stopped at the bottom step. Didn't turn around. Yes, we are. I walked up the stairs with measured steps. Firm. Final. The way I'd dismissed insubordinate students for 35 years. In my bedroom, I locked the door. First time I'd ever done that in this house. Around 11, I lay in bed, lights off. Heard their bedroom door close. They thought I was asleep. Then their voices rose and fell through the wall. Mostly Jennifer's voice, high and insistent. Then Michael's, lower, agreeing. I couldn't make out words, didn't need to. Desperation sounds the same in any language. I texted Barbara. They know I've seen a lawyer. Getting aggressive. Tomorrow more crucial than ever. 3 dots appeared immediately. Stay safe tonight. Lock your door. We finish this tomorrow. I typed back. Door locked. I'm safe. See you in the morning. Set the phone on my nightstand. Tried to sleep. Through the wall, their voices continued. Planning. Scheming. I closed my eyes and thought about tomorrow. About signatures and documents and safety. One more day. My phone vibrated at 6 Wednesday morning. I silenced it immediately. Listened. No sounds from Michael and Jennifer's room. I dressed in the dark. Slacks, button-down shirt, jacket, professional clothes. Opened my bedroom door millimeter by millimeter. No creaks. Down the stairs, keeping to the edges where the boards didn't squeak. 30 years in this house had taught me every sound. In the kitchen, I scribbled a note. Out early, back this afternoon. Propped it against the coffee maker. Outside, the sun was just rising. Streets empty. I didn't start my car until I was 2 blocks away. Freedom. Barbara was waiting at her office at 7:30. We drove together to the foundation office for our 10 o'clock appointment. In the car, she held my hand. Last step, she said. Then you're protected. Portland Education Foundation occupied a renovated building downtown. Julia Thompson met us in the conference room. Gray suit, kind eyes, professional warmth. Mr. Ford, Ms. Lindstrom, thank you for coming. Documents spread across the long table like a paper river. Property transfer, residency agreement, foundation trust, county registration forms. Julia walked me through each section. Legal requirement for informed consent. This is permanent, Mr. Ford. Once filed, you cannot reverse it. The foundation will own the property. You retain lifetime right to live there, but you cannot sell it, cannot leave it to heirs, cannot change your mind. I understand completely, I said. That's exactly what I want. Julia's expression showed understanding she didn't voice. Then this is the right choice. My hand was steady as I signed. Page after page. Initials here, signature there. Barbara signed as witness. Julia signed. The notary, Grace, an older woman with gentle hands, stamped each document with her official seal. Julia photographed the documents, uploaded them to the county system. Electronic filing, immediate registration. As of this moment, Julia said, the Portland Education Foundation owns 2847 Alameda Street, and Mr. Ford has irrevocable lifetime right to occupy it. It was done. We returned to my house around 1 that afternoon. I invited Barbara in. First time she'd seen my home. She walked through the living room slowly, taking it in. The worn blue couch Mary and I had bought 20 years ago. Bookshelves lined with teaching texts and novels. Family photos on the mantel. She paused at a picture of teenage Michael in his graduation gown. Me beside him, both smiling. He was different then, I said quietly. Or maybe I just didn't see. Barbara touched the frame gently. You didn't fail. He made choices. In the kitchen, she ran her hand over the counter. You can tell someone cares for this place. We sat at the table with coffee. Neither of us really drank. What happens after tomorrow? Barbara asked. After Thanksgiving? I studied my hands. Working hands, teacher's hands, old man's hands now. I don't know what comes after. I haven't let myself think past surviving tomorrow. Barbara leaned forward. Think past it now, with me in the picture. Our eyes met. We both stood at the same time, closed the distance between us. The kiss was tentative at first, then certain. Both of us had lost spouses, been lonely for years, found unexpected connection in crisis. When we separated, Barbara cupped my face in her hands. Whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together. She left around 3. I needed to be alone when Michael and Jennifer returned, needed to act normal for one more night. They came home around 7, loaded with shopping bags. We got decorations! Jennifer's voice was bright, false. Small cornucopia centerpiece, orange candles, paper turkey. They spread items on the dining table. Dad, where do you want the centerpiece? Michael asked. Wherever you think looks nice, playing the unaware father. One last performance. Jennifer's purse sat on the kitchen counter near the coffee maker. She kept glancing at it, checking it was there, checking I didn't notice. I noticed everything. Should we plan dinner for 5 tomorrow? Jennifer asked. We thought we'd help you cook. 5 sounds good. I'll handle most of it. At least let us set the table, Michael added. Pour drinks. I bet you want to pour drinks, I thought. Sure, that would be helpful. They smiled. I smiled. Everyone performing normalcy while hiding knives behind our backs. That night, lying in bed with the door locked and chair braced under the knob, I texted Barbara. Tomorrow, whatever happens. Her response came immediately. I'll call you at 9 a.m. Answer immediately so I know you're okay. If you don't answer, I'm calling police. I set the phone on my nightstand, stared at the ceiling. Down the hall, orange light glowed under Michael and Jennifer's door. They were awake, late, planning. I closed my eyes and thought about the documents signed today, the house that was no longer mine, the woman who'd become my ally, my partner, perhaps something more. Tomorrow was Thanksgiving. Tomorrow they'd make their move, and I'd be ready. Thanksgiving morning I woke at 7, removed the chair from under my doorknob, descended the stairs to an empty kitchen. The house was silent. Michael and Jennifer wouldn't surface for hours. They'd celebrated early yesterday, probably already imagining their inheritance. I began cooking. Turkey in the oven by 7:30. 16 pounds, 4 hours at 325. Pie crust prepared. Sweet potatoes assembled. Green bean casserole ready. Each task methodical, therapeutic. Possibly the last time I'd cook for family. Might as well do it right. Barbara texted at 9. You okay? I responded, cooking, ready. The phone stayed in my pocket all morning, connected, protected. Around 2 that afternoon, I heard their bedroom door open. Footsteps. They emerged disheveled, hungover. Afternoon, I said without looking up from the counter. Dinner at 5. Smells amazing, Dad. Michael's voice was hoarse. By 4, we set the table together. Jennifer arranged the cornucopia centerpiece she'd bought yesterday. Michael folded napkins. I brought out Mary's china, the good plates, used only for holidays. Last time with family. Might as well use it. Jennifer kept glancing at her purse on the counter, checking, making sure. I saw everything, showed nothing. 5 o'clock. We sat. The table looked beautiful. Turkey golden and perfect. Stuffing steaming. Cranberry sauce gleaming. Traditional feast. I'll pour wine, Jennifer said, standing. She took the bottle and 3 glasses to the kitchen counter, just out of my direct line of sight. But the kitchen had a window, and I'd angled my chair to watch the reflection in the glass. I saw her pull a small bag from her purse, saw her crush tablets with a spoon, saw the powder tumble into one glass, saw her stir it quickly with her finger, then wipe her finger on a napkin. Smooth. Practiced. She'd rehearsed this. She brought the glasses out on a tray, set the drugged one at my place, sat down smiling. Shall we toast? But then she turned back to the kitchen. Forgot the gravy boat. The moment she wasn't watching, my hand moved. Slid my glass 8 inches right. Michael's glass 8 inches left. 2 seconds total. I'd practiced this yesterday with coffee cups. Jennifer returned, gravy boat in hand. Noticed nothing. Michael raised his glass. To Dad. You've given us everything. A roof over our heads, food on our table, endless patience. The bitter irony almost made me smile. To family, I said, lifting my glass, Michael's clean one. May we all get what we deserve. To new beginnings, Jennifer added. We drank. Michael gulped, nervous, thirsty. I sipped. Jennifer drank hers. We ate. Turkey, stuffing, forced conversation about the food, the weather, nothing that mattered. 20 minutes in, Michael's fork clattered to his plate. He blinked slowly, trying to focus. Dad, something's wrong. I feel... His words slurred, eyes unfocused. Head nodded forward, jerked back up. Michael? Jennifer's voice climbed. Mike, what's wrong? He slumped forward. His head hit the table with a dull thud. Unconscious. Jennifer screamed, grabbed his shoulders, shook him. Michael, wake up! What's happening? I stood calmly, walked to the front door. I should get that, I said. Get what? What are you... Jennifer stopped mid-sentence as the doorbell rang. Perfectly timed. I opened the door wide. Barbara stood there in professional attire. Behind her, Julia Thompson from the Foundation, Robert Chang, the notary, 2 Portland police officers in uniform, James Cole and Samantha Rivers. Behind them, paramedics stood ready with a gurney. Please come in, I said, stepping aside. They filed in with practiced efficiency. Jennifer stood at the table, frozen, watching them enter, her face drained of color as understanding dawned. Barbara set a leather portfolio on the dining table next to the turkey, opened it, extracted documents. Jennifer, Michael, she said, voice professional and cold. This is Julia Thompson from the Portland Education Foundation. As of Wednesday, they own this house. Here's the deed transfer, filed with Multnomah County. Jennifer's voice cracked. What? That's not possible. Very possible. Very legal. Very permanent. Barbara spread more documents like dealing cards. Mr. Ford has lifetime residency. You have nothing. Officer Cole stepped forward. And we're here because Mr. Ford filed a report Monday about suspicious behavior and potential plans to harm him. Officer Rivers approached the table, pulling on latex gloves. She photographed the table setting, positions of glasses, plates, food, then carefully bagged Michael's glass, labeled it with case number, time, location. Ma'am, she said to Jennifer, please step away from him. Paramedics need access. The EMTs moved in, checked Michael's vitals, prepared to transport. Officer Cole picked up Jennifer's purse from the counter. Ma'am, is this yours? We have a warrant to search it. He opened it. The pill bottle was right there, visible. Jennifer tried to follow as they lifted Michael onto the gurney. I need to go with him. Officer Rivers gently blocked her path. Ma'am, you need to stay here. We have questions. Jennifer watched them wheel Michael out, her face cycling through emotions. Fear, panic, anger, finally recognition. She turned to me, eyes wide. You knew. You switched the glasses. I met her gaze steadily. Yes, I did. Officer Rivers held up the bagged glass. This glass, the one your son drank from, will be tested for foreign substances. We also have this pill bottle from your purse. Can you explain what these pills are? Those are mine, for anxiety. The prescription label shows they were filled yesterday, Officer Cole said. Full bottle, but several are missing. Where are those pills? Silence. I believe, I said quietly. You'll find them in that glass. The one she poured for me? Jennifer's face twisted with rage. You set us up? You poisoned your own son. I protected myself, I replied calmly. You put those pills in my wine. Michael drank from my glass. That's on you, not me. Officers, Barbara said, I think you have everything you need. Officer Cole began reading them their rights. I stood in my dining room, the Foundation's dining room now, surrounded by legal representatives and law enforcement, watching justice unfold. The Thanksgiving dinner sat untouched on the table, but I'd never felt less hungry and more satisfied in my life. Friday morning, Barbara called with the lab results. Prescription strength sedatives, she said, crushed and dissolved, combined with alcohol in someone your age, potentially fatal. I sat at my kitchen table, coffee cooling in front of me. So if I'd drunk from that glass, you likely wouldn't have woken up, or you'd have fallen, hit your head. They'd have called it a tragic accident. But instead, Michael got what he intended for me. Poetic justice, Barbara said. The charges are serious. Attempted assault with dangerous substance, conspiracy to commit harm, elder abuse. They're not getting out on bail. Judge Margaret Holland set bail at $100,000 each. Neither could pay. They remained in custody. Saturday, Barbara and I returned to the house. Julia Thompson met us there with the foundation's attorney. We walked through the property together. Julia explained the arrangement. Foundation handles all maintenance: roof, plumbing, heating, utilities. In return, they'd host monthly gatherings for educators. You'd have no obligation to participate, Julia said, but you're welcome to. I felt something light up inside me. I'd love to participate. I spent 35 years in education. The idea of teachers meeting in my living room, sharing ideas, that's perfect. Julia smiled. Then it's settled. We signed the papers. The house had purpose beyond mere preservation. Sunday afternoon, Michael's attorney delivered a letter. I sat in my study and read it once. Dad, I'm so sorry. I was weak. Jennifer convinced me this was the only way. I never wanted to hurt you. Please forgive me. I'm your son. Classic non-apology. Blaming others. Claiming victimhood. Taking no real responsibility. I folded it carefully, placed it in my desk drawer. Barbara entered with coffee. What will you say? Nothing yet. Words mean nothing without change. Let him sit with consequences first. She nodded, understanding. Monday, the defense attorney proposed a plea deal. Guilty to attempted assault, 3 years probation, 200 hours community service at an elder care facility, 5-year no-contact order. The prosecutor agreed. Judge Holland accepted. Tuesday afternoon, they were released to probation. Barbara delivered my message through their attorney. I gave you shelter when you fell. You chose to try to destroy me. Now you know the cost of betrayal. Perhaps one day we'll talk, but not soon. Michael wept, according to the attorney. Jennifer remained defiant. They had nowhere to go. No money, no house, no family support, criminal records and probation restrictions. Exactly the position they'd planned for me. Tuesday evening, Barbara and I sat in the living room. I'd built the first fire of winter. Crumpled newspaper, kindling, logs positioned properly. The flames caught and spread. Outside the window, the season's first snow began to fall. Do you feel like you won? Barbara asked. I thought about it. I feel free, and not alone for the first time in years. She squeezed my hand. What do we do now? Live. Really live. I have savings and pension. You have your practice. We both have time. Travel? Why not? I've spent 35 years in one place. Maybe it's time to see the world. Start simple. Coast, mountains, wherever the road goes. Barbara leaned her head against my shoulder. Wherever the road goes, together. Together, I agreed. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the fire, watching the snow fall. Two people who'd lost spouses, known loneliness, found unexpected connection in crisis. Two people choosing partnership and hope. Around 10, Barbara prepared to leave. She had her own place still, but spent most days here now. At the door, she turned and kissed me goodnight. Routine now, comfortable. Tomorrow? She asked. Tomorrow. I watched her taillights disappear into the snowy night, then closed the door and locked it. Not from fear anymore, just habit. The house felt less empty than it had 2 weeks ago. I returned to the living room, added another log to the fire, settled back onto the couch. They'd thought I was weak, just an old man who'd hand over everything without a fight. But 35 years as a principal had taught me to see through people, plan ahead, act decisively when necessary. I didn't become their victim. I chose justice over vengeance. They faced consequences, but not destruction. That's the difference between revenge and justice. I found something unexpected through all this. Love, when I'd stopped believing it was possible. Barbara came into my life as my attorney and became so much more. Michael got his lesson. Whether he learns from it, whether he truly changes, time will tell. I left the door open for reconciliation, but on my terms, when he's earned it. For now, distance serves us both. As for me, I'm finally living for myself. The house serves education. My savings are mine to enjoy. And I have a partner who sees me as an equal, not a resource. They tried to take everything. Instead, I kept what mattered and gained what I needed. That's not revenge. That's justice. And it's the best outcome I could have hoped for. The fire crackled. The snow fell. and for the first time in a very long time, I felt genuinely at peace. Tomorrow, Barbara and I would start planning our first trip. Maybe the coast, maybe the mountains. Somewhere we'd never been, starting a journey we'd take together. I smiled, added one more log to the fire, and watched the flames dance against the darkness. The future, uncertain but full of possibility, stretched out before me, and I was ready for it. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.